I just invite everybody, if you can, where you are, to close your eyes if that's comfortable, or just relax in some way. And just recognize that we have come together to take this time for ourselves, to be with each other, to come, to create, to connect, and just to revel in new ideas or new modes of being, or just to reinforce what we already know, to be with like minds and open hearts. So I know right here and now that there is only one. There is one life that is always happening. It is always unfolding in a myriad of ways, but there is only one. We honor this one. We call it God, Spirit, love, joy, peace. It is one. It is all that there is. There is nothing other than or opposite to. There is just one whole. And as I know that there is one, I know that I am of it. I am in it. I am with it. I am as it. And as I know this truth about my being, I know the truth about everyone, and especially everyone here present, and those who could not be present with us today. I know that we are God expressing. We are individualized as the wave or the current in the ocean, but there is no separation of essence. We are God expressed, individualized, but never separate. We are indivisible from the whole. And I know that when we come together like this, there is wonder, there is excitement, there are new ideas, there is information being brought forth and passed around and examined and looked at and embraced. It is a wonderful feeling to come together like this. And I know that everything that needs to be said is said, that Sherri is an open channel tonight to speak the word of truth and to help all of us on this journey towards being more and more and more the revealing of more of ourself, our highest self, our best being. I know that everything that needs to be asked will be asked, that everything that we listen with open hearts. There is so much gratitude right now, understanding the unfoldment of this wonderful coming together. And so I bless this time. I know that it is perfect. It is perfectly unfolding. Anything and everything that happens is perfectly unfolding. It is what it is, and we bless it. We allow it to unfold beautifully. I bless the participation of all, and so it is. Beautiful space. I'm going to do a reading from Ernest Holmes that relates to Sherri's talk tonight. She's talking on when the road gets rocky. No one here knows what that feels like, I'm sure. Maybe this much, maybe this much. Ernest Holmes said, "We have now discovered a unity with the whole on the three sides of life, or from all three modes of expression. We are one with the body of the physical world, one with the creative law of the universe in the mental world, and one with the Spirit of God in the conscious world. Could we ask or hope for more? Would it be possible for more to be given? We could not ask for more, and no greater freedom could be given. From now on, we shall expand, grow, and express only to the degree that we consciously cooperate with the whole and within the whole." Ernest Holmes also said, there is more to us than we realize. Man is an eternal, I'm going to say mankind is an eternal destiny, a forever expanding principle of conscious intelligence, the ocean in a drop of water, the sun in its rays. Humanity, the real human, is birthless, deathless, changeless. And God, as each of us, in each of us, is each of us. The highest God and the innermost God is one and the same God. And so it is.
Well, thank you, Reverend Elizabeth. I really appreciate you doing the readings. Those are like drop the mic moments, right? It's like, what do you mean? It's all one. What do you mean the innermost God and myself are the same? It's like the outside. It's like, what? But I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. I was so grateful when this topic came up and it was my turn to speak, because my goodness, what better topic could we have tonight than when the road gets rocky? It's like, you can talk for hours, right? You can talk about all kinds of stuff. But what we like to talk about here with Science Mind and the Centers for Spiritual Living is universal truths when we're talking about when the road gets rocky. You know, what is in my tool bag when life comes, what feels like when life is coming at me. You know, everyone on this call who's, you know, the faces I can see, the faces that I know, you know, my friends sitting across the room from me right now, it's like every single one of us has something going on or had something going on. Some of them catastrophic, some of them life-changing. You know, we tend, when things are going really well, our tool bag is super strong and we're like, oh, this is great, I can do this, and we carry on and we're all happy-go-lucky and jumping around and I'm meditating every day and I feel great, and then something happens and we're like, the hair goes back and we're like, wow, I was not prepared for that. And then that's when, you know, these universal truths come out, and that's when we get to dig a little deeper to remember who and what we are, and the spiritual truths that are taught to us in this teaching. Funny enough, you know, in the world of recovery, where I also spend a lot of my time, guess what? They're the same. You know, Science of Mind and 12-step stuff. I mean, it's super, super familiar. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so grateful to be a practitioner and also in recovery, because they just roll together super nicely and we get to talk about them in a way, you know, that a lot of people don't ever get to hear. And, you know, some of the universal truths that when the road gets rocky, that we want to remember, that we recognize that there's all paths to God. You know, how anybody gets there, we're not picky. You know, find something, you know, find that power higher than yourself, that greater than yourself, that you can connect with, that makes you feel connected to something within as well as outside of us. You know, there's those moments when we are looking outside of ourselves for that connection to God. And then at some point in our journey and our awakening, we pause and stop and we're like, I don't need to look outside of myself. I need to look within myself, because that is actually where God is. And that's where my connection to self is. And it's like, it's a game changer at that moment. You know, the moment I finally learned, and so this is my, moment of admission. It took me a long time to figure out what the terms as within, so without actually meant. Because for so long in my external thoughts, without meant to me, without, like, I don't have it. When actually, as within, so without, meaning as I am to myself, is my outpicturing of what's going on inside. So when the road gets rocky and I'm all in turmoil out here, guess what I see outside of me? I see nothing but turmoil, and I see chaos, and I see fear, and I see lack, and I see limitation. And those are my reminders to pause, to go back into the presence, and pick up my universal truths, my spiritual truth, my tools that teach me the opposites of those things. Step 6 and 7 in the book talk about, figuring out those character defects. What are those things that no longer serve me? And it's funny, as I was kind of putting my notes together and reading the notes, poverty, illness, discord, unhappiness, those are all character defects. And even in Science of Mind, it shows us, it's like, act as if, we've heard that before, fake it till you make it, act as if, if we started this conversation with, what if I approached these situations that come into my life as it is an opportunity to learn, not something to wrap my head around, that I am in lack, I am in discord, that I am sick, that I am without. What if I chose differently and said, this is an opportunity to my awakening. This is an opportunity for me to learn a new skill. This is an opportunity for me to pick up a new tool. What if? What in those moments, if we all just stopped and took a breath and said, and just kind of sat back a little bit, we're already getting our hair blown back by what's coming at us, and just like, what if? I get to spend a lot of time with my Reiki clients really talking about that stuff and being that voice of hearing what's going on in their lives, and be like, what if this is actually an opportunity for X, Y, and Z? How would you think about it then? And it's just a question to think about it differently. I'm not denying that whatever's happening isn't happening. That's not what Science of Mind is about. A lot of people think like Science of Mind is like, oh, they're all positive thinkers and positive affirmations and nothing bad ever happens. And that's not true at all, because it happens. Death and loss of jobs and loss of relationships and loss of homes. And, these things happen, but it's our choice to decide how we're going to respond to them. And these universal truths that Science of Mind kind of gives us as a foundation to those conversations with ourselves is like, we envision people and all beings as all life expressions of God. So what if that person who just cut me off in traffic, and if I thought of them as an expression of God, how would I be reacting? That's a very basic thing. What if, that person that really hurt my feelings, what if I remembered that they are also an expression of God? It's not just me saying I am, it's me affirming that you are as well. And they're game changers. The switch in the spiritual moments where we used to get so upset, like you could feel your heart racing, you could feel, the heat coming up in your neck, you could feel those changes physically. Now, with these tools of acting as if, what if every single person I come in contact with is a child of God? What if? What if I looked at everyone that is coming into my existence as an opportunity to grow and an opportunity to learn and to teach each other, because that's what we're here to do, right? We're here to learn, we're here to teach, we're here to grow, we're here to wake up. The Science of Mind principles that tell us we are God made manifest. We are the only way that spirit God, universal, whatever you want to call it, can take the physical form is through us. We're here to get each other home. You know, what if we approached everything like that? You know, and it's a very profound conversation to have with yourself in these quiet moments when we're focusing for a little bit on spiritual teachings. And what I'm going to ask you to do when you leave here is to remember, you know, like Reverend Elizabeth was talking about that notebook, you know, remember everyone I come in contact is a child of God. Yeah, every single person, no matter what. And there'll always be those people like, you know, what about, you know, all these horrible things that are going on in the world? All I do is ask you to pause and say, what if? What if everything that's happening is for the greater good of humanity? You know, out of these disasters, when things get rocky, what do we see? If we choose to see the best of people coming up in those moments, then that's what we're going to see. If we choose to see the disaster, fire, mayhem, and, you know, chaos, that's what we're going to see. You know, and you know, for me, I don't want to waste the energy on things that I can't control, or to get so spun up about something that has, you know, that I can't do anything about, that isn't going to, I'm not serving the situation by being also chaotic and fearful and angry. You know, so, you know, we envision a humanity awakening to its spiritual magnificence. Could you imagine, what if everybody approached their lives like, I am a spiritual being having a human experience, and I want to experience spiritual magnificence? What does that look like to everybody? What does that look like in your lives today? What can it look like? What if you got everything your way in your spiritual awakening? What would that look like? And why can't we have it? There's nothing that says we can't. There's no rule somewhere that says that we can't be enlightened. There's no rule that says we can't be Buddha-like. There's no rule that says we can't be like Jesus. Jesus was the greatest teacher on the planet, right? We all know that. And his words himself is like, as I do, you can do also. Okay, why not? What if? What if we chose to be Jesus-like? What if we chose not to get into those moments of conflict? You know, the whole theme when the road gets rocky, and, you know, Reverend Elizabeth talking about rising and all the themes of this month, that made me think of like the rock climbers. In one of the movies that we've seen recently is Free Solo. If you've ever seen it, it's a guy that climbs the face of these rocks in El Capitan in Utah with no strings, nothing. He's just like fingers and toes up this wall. And that's what it kind of feels like sometimes. But knowing that we have these spiritual tools kind of helping us, we can scale whatever it is that we're trying to scale. You know, the theme of the question of push by pain or pull by vision, you know, which do we choose? They're all choices. You know, are we living in lack and limitation, or are we living in abundance? You know, are we fearful, or are we faithful? You know, are we focusing on failure, or are we focusing into success? Those are the choices. What if we always chose love, success, and gain? I mean, like, what would happen? It's one of the most profound moments to stop and think about that for a minute. It seems so easy, but is it that simple? Or which is it? Is it simple and easy? You know what? I can't remember which one it is, but it's like, oh, okay. You know, when things come up, I can practice the opposites of them, you know, and then I can choose differently. I can show up in another way. There is an author named Mary O'Malley. She wrote a book of the same name. What is in the way is the way. What is in the way is the way. Okay, what's in the way? It's an opportunity for growth. It's an opportunity for learning. It's an opportunity for expansion. What if I looked at it this way, as opposed to, you know, I just lost my job, I lost my house, I lost my relationship, you know, whatever. What if I looked at it the other way? It seems so easy. It seems so easy. And, you know, that's kind of the reminder that we have for each other during these times, is to be able to kind of do that for each other. So I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight, and to, you know, the universal truths that Science of Mind teaches us. You can Google them, you know, the Declaration of Principles. They're super easy and they make a lot of sense. You know, we believe in one God, you know, and that God is within us, that is us, you know. And another one of my favorite sayings, it's all good because it's all God. You know, what if I can say that about everything? Everything. I don't get to pick and choose when I use that term. You know, my ego may take over at times and be like, well, I'm just going to dig in and I'm going to sit over here and pout. You know, but eventually it's like, okay, this is ridiculous. You know, it's all good because it's all God, no matter what. No matter what. And everything is spirit. You know, I believe in the incarnation of spirit in all beings, and every person is incarnate of that one spirit. God, spirit, light, and Science of Mind principles are all interchangeable. It's all the same. You know, the personal immortality, we cannot be hurt, harmed, or destroyed. We are pure energy. Scientifically proven that energy cannot be destroyed. We change forms, but we cannot be destroyed. You know, there will always be a healing at the end of everything, right? You know, it may not be the healing that we are looking for or that our ego is telling us we need, but there is going to be a healing. So that for me, to remember that is super important, you know, and to be able to hold that space for people and to be able to say that, like, it's okay, because we know that energy cannot be destroyed. And when you feel that down to your core, it changes everything in how you show up, how you speak, how you live, how you do your day-to-day life every time. You know, the heaven on earth, it's either heaven or hell, right? We can choose it. There's not some place out in the sky where we go, right, after we die. It's right now. And it's, the choice is ours. We can be in heaven right now, or we can choose to be in hell right now. What if I chose heaven all the time? What the personal freedom, you know, I have the choice. I have free will, personal freedom. I can choose heaven, I can choose hell. Right? It's up to me, right? Okay. You know, the unity of all life is the highest God, and the innermost God is the one God. You know, it's all God. And it just keeps repeating itself. You know, the personal revelation and the direct revelation of truth through the intuitive and spiritual nature of humanity. It's like, we're all God. We're all children of that same light. We are all within that ocean. We are all individual drops within that ocean. Everyone, including the guy that cut you off on the road today, including that person that put 12 things on the belt at the grocery store when you were in the 10-person line, right? Everyone, everything. So it's a game at this point, right? You know, how spiritually grounded, how many tools can I pull out in one day? I mean, Reverend Elizabeth encouraged us to get a notebook last week, you know, and kind of write down these practices and kind of see how we show up during the week. You know, how many times can I say what if during the week? And just count them off and see how different you feel next week. I hope to hear a report back of like, you know what? I had 6 things happen and I chose the complete opposite of what I would normally choose. and I feel great today. So it's like, that's the goal. That's the goal of this entire exercise. All right, so we got our homework. We're gonna get our notebooks and we're gonna see how many tools we can pull out during the week as life happens. You know, we know that it's easier to show up when we live life on life's terms and not try and wrestle it into submission. I know for me, that was a big change. It's like, I live my life wrestling it into submission on every single turn. I don't have to do that anymore. And for that, I am super grateful.